Hello, Meoni here. Welcome back to another housing video for Final Fantasy XIV. Patch 7.4 added a bunch of new items, both crafted and other sources to our housing. We're going to try and look at all of those. So firstly, we have ourselves quite a few items that were added to the Tuliolan listing for woodworking, goldsmithing, and clothcraft here. As you can see, there are 9 items in total with the Tuliyollan theme, that aesthetic. We've got the beverage rack there. All of these are level 100 basic recipes, by the way. We've got a beverage rack, we've got the bench, we've got a stool, we've got a counter, a curved counter, a screen, a table, a censer, and a rug. So let's look at all of these items. All right, first on the list then we have our 2 undyeable items, the Tuliolan Rug and the Censer. So let's get the rug out first. As you can see, it is quite a nice Tuliolan design. It is, as you would expect. You might find this in the cabins if you go to the inn rooms there in Tuliolan, in Tuliolan rather. And yeah, it sports a very familiar design. It's got this kind of diamond pattern that you could expect. Very, very cool, actually. I quite like that. The only problem with this rug is, of course, that it is undyeable, which is a little bit unfortunate. Then we have the censer, which is an ornate censer of Tuliolan design. And this should come as no surprise that it has basically what can only be described as sort of like an incense burner or something like that. We've got similar things. A censer is usually to do with, you know, sacred rites and things like that, isn't it? But I like to imagine that this is putting out some kind of, you know, fragrant essences or something. I mean, it very much could be, couldn't it? And it's an interesting design. Very nice. Stone design with the sort of wings on the side. Very reminiscent of like Valagormander, that kind of aesthetic. Very nice. Very nice. And then if we move on to some of the other items then, so let's populate this. Let's show off the Tuliolan curved counter. So we've got 2 options of counter. As you can see, these things are absolutely enormous, which is good. More often than not, we get counters in the game if you're trying to build like a shop front or just the front of your FC house. And more often than not, they are incredibly small. And you have to do a lot of extra work to make them fit, you know, to make your design fit, especially in a large house. But this is the sort of thing that if the front door was here, you could come in and it would be quite a nice greeting area. It is very nicely detailed. We've got this beautiful worktop here with the inlaid wooden design. I will say it's a little bit unfortunate. You can kind of see where the design was copy-pasted, and it's not accurate at all. From a distance, it looks great. Up close, you start to realize, oh man, if only those triangles had met in the center. That's for that reason alone, I'm not sure I could use this item, or I would have to place something directly on this corner to make it completely disappear. I really don't like that. I really don't. The inside detail's lovely, almost like this tiled design. Yeah, if it wasn't for the weird angle clipping, this would be a pretty awesome item. In contrary to that, then, we've got a square version of that, which is the straight Tuliolan counter, which is also massive. But the best thing about this one is that you don't have to deal with the joining arrows, basically, if we're going to call them that. So that's what it looks like. It is very long. Obviously, you could join the 2 together, right? You could butt them up to the sides and make this really big area, which is really cool. But at the same time, we don't have to deal with those awkward triangles. I mean, it just sort of merges nicely. I don't know why this gets such lovely treatment here, but the cornered one does not. Unfortunate. But yeah, they're quite nice, and the interior of those, again, is following the same style with the tiles, so it matches perfectly. In fact, putting this up together, let's attempt to do exactly that. So as you can see, there is a little bit of an interesting design fault there. They've kind of got this like tongue and groove system going on, almost, but there's like a blocker. If it wasn't for that piece of wood, it probably would match up quite nicely. But unfortunately, you have this weird gap, and it's the same on the other side as well. So you're never going to get those to mesh together perfectly unless you enjoy clipping, which, yeah, I've never liked clipping for that exact reason there. So, not perfect, but they are decent sized. And from a distance, that doesn't look too bad. I'm sure we could put something here to sort of disguise the join, but ideally they're supposed to be used separately, I guess. But it's an interesting concept. I've almost created a boat here, haven't I? I've just realized. Very interesting. So let's move on to some other items then, because we've got quite a bit to look at here. So next up, we've got the Tuliolan stool and the table. So these are cloth covered. These are dyeable. These work surfaces are dyeable as well, just to reiterate that. The only thing that's not dyeable is the censer and the rug. So firstly, we've got the table, which looks like this. Interesting, very similar to the carpet design, right? To the rug design. Nice flamboyant colors, curved wood. Yeah, that's quite nice, actually. A nice set piece. I can imagine that working. Yeah, it looks beautiful on that carpet. Yeah, combined with some of the cabin interior items from the previous patch, this would look pretty good. And then we've got the stool as well, which is a fairly generic looking stool. It's got the same fabric at the top. Yeah, so if you're looking for something a little bit Western in design, with Tuliolan New World kind of influences, yeah, that looks quite nice, doesn't it? The beverage rack then, stacked with a selection of libations served at popular Tuliolan establishments. So what's this then? Wow. Ooh. Okay. That's good. Ooh, that's a really, really nice item, actually. So, more recently, I say recently, over the past couple of years, we've had lots of bar items added to the game, and I've really enjoyed that. I quite like the idea of remaking my, like, dance floor sort of nightclub. And if you want to get some spirits that are attached to, I suppose that's supposed to be dispensers, then, yeah, this is perfect. Perfect for your nightclub sort of venue area. Quite a nice flat background as well, so you could put this against a wall or a partition, which would be the most easiest to do without too much clipping. I actually quite like that. That's really nicely done. Very cool. Let's put that there. Who doesn't love alcohol next to their censer? Then we've got ourselves a bench, which is also dyeable. Well, that's quite nice, actually. That's unique. So if you wanted something maybe to go behind your counters, this might be a good option, quite honestly. It's quite nice, actually. It's got these little sort of staples at the bottom, or fasteners. At first I thought these were like drawer handles, but I guess they're not. Yeah, so like ideally you would put this behind the counter, wouldn't you? And then you'd have an NPC or something sat on that. It's quite nice. Very nice. And then finally we got ourselves the Tuliolan screen, which is a painted wooden screen. And yes, it's a lot bigger than I expected it to be. It almost reminds me a little bit of saloon doors, slightly. But obviously we've got this kind of almost Aztec design on this, which is very reminiscent of a lot of architecture in both Tuliolan and, of course, Dawntrail across the board. That's quite cool, isn't it? I like the design on the side with all of the diamonds. Very, very nice. Yeah, honestly, quite a nice selection of pieces. But, yeah, I'm sure this is not the only island-themed items and New World-themed items that we get added to the game. There's plenty of things that, you know, you could walk around the inn room at the cabins and vie for things that you would like to see in the future. But there we go. That's what those items look like. The various dyes will be wood-related dyes, aside from, again, the rug and the censer. So, yeah, let me know what you think of these items. We're going to cover as much as we physically can. So, onwards to more 7.4 goodness.